this was already a delayed set of regulations that they were discussing, because the FIA and F1 could have forced through some much earlier this year. And there were some meetings in the summer where they all agreed, okay, we'd like a bit more time to develop certain aspects of the regulations. The teams themselves, I think, were hoping to push it back so that they could then have a bit of a bigger say and a bit more time to give feedback to the FIA and to F1 as well. And also then, the later you did it, the thinking was then it's less time for the bigger teams to get a head start. You know, the impact of their additional finances might be lessened. Not too sure that's actually going to be the case, because they can still commit more people to the project and spend more money on it whenever you do it. So they're still going to gain in that sense. So I think we're still going to hit this deadline. What seems to have changed is the recent meetings we've had, the one in Paris that you referenced, has allowed some of the teams to push back on certain areas where they were unhappy, where everyone finalised some of the changes and were a bit too prescriptive in their eyes. So where some of the teams felt the cars would all be too similar, there wouldn't be room to innovate and wouldn't be room to develop your own concepts. They sort of hit back. So after meetings at basically every race for the last 3-4 weeks, there's always been talking back and forth and questionnaires going around about what are we happy with, what are we not. And I think there was just consensus on certain items where all of the teams, or at least most of them, said, no, we're not going to go ahead with this. We've seen the FIA and F1 have to sort of back off a bit in certain areas. Brakes were one of them, that they were going to make standardized materials, and then they changed that recently and said, okay, we're going to delay that. But what's interesting is none of it's off the table. Formula One has kind of gone, okay, we'll try and get to a point here that all the teams are happy enough with 2021, but then we'll keep moving forward in the future and maybe bring in more standard parts, or the budget cap that we're talking about, bring that level and bring in an initial level and then lower it in future years to try and really restrict things. So it's not 2021 and that's it. And that's what Formula One's been trying to push and trying to stress. But it does mean the teams have had this window to kind of push back. And the whole reason is they're trying to protect their competitive advantage. It's always the case. So the big teams don't want to give up the fact that they are currently the leading teams, and they want to protect certain things. It's no surprise we had 6 teams that said they would rather just stick with what we've got now than change to 2021 a few weeks ago. That was before this meeting. So this meeting allowed them to talk about some of the concerns they had, or some of the areas they weren't willing to concede. But at that point, you know, they are the big teams that were against it, and it was the more independent teams that were saying, no, we're willing to go with the new regulations. We want change because these changes might give us more of an opportunity. So.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it seemed like a lot of the teams the 6 teams that you mentioned wanted to keep that sort of aerodynamic flexibility of being able to go crazy with the cars and design it the way they want. And like you mentioned, the gearboxes wanted to be standardized. I think they scrapped that, some of the brake systems as well. You know, would it kind of almost be better, though, to have it standardized? Would that bring the field a little bit closer? Or would it make things cheaper with the budget cap? I mean, what's your sense on that from inside the paddock? Do you think that would make the racing overall a little bit better and kind of limit the competitive advantage of the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull?
Personally, I do, but I kind of see where the argument lies in that you then risk, we talk about the DNA of Formula One, and we have got to protect it in some form. I think some people go a bit too far and try and protect it because they say, well, Formula One's always been this way, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You know, to improve and evolve, sometimes you've got to make tough decisions, but you've also got to look at what do the fans want, what's really going to get people excited. And yeah, the technological side is very cool, the kind of diversity across the cars is very cool, but if you then don't get good racing, people are going to switch off. They're going to turn on and look at the cars in a photo and go, that looks cool, and then they're going to watch the first 2 laps and go, well, this is boring, and go and watch something else. So I think certainly standardization would create better racing, because you can really control then where the performance differentiators are, and you can make it that, one, the car's much more raceable, which was one of the key objectives of the regulation changes, but 2, you're kind of making sure the window of difference is much, much smaller. And right now, where a team with a bigger budget is able to find maybe up to 2 seconds of performance over a team with a smaller one, you're just kind of limiting that window so that they can only find 2 tenths, and they'll still find those 2 tenths by spending that money, but it just keeps everyone a lot closer. I think what's key is getting the raceable cars, though, and the teams themselves, you know, the engineers are not thinking about the show and how great the racing looks like, the way we talk about it. They're just thinking about, you know, how exciting is their job going to be in designing these cars and building these cars. And it was the same with the drivers in 2017. They were asking for cars that were tougher to drive, that they were tired afterwards, push harder for longer. And they said that's what they really want, because they said, oh, yeah, fans will love it when we get out the car and we look exhausted and they see we've worked hard. But then you get cars that can't follow so closely because there's more downforce, and you get less certain races. And just because the driver's happy, 100,000 people sat in the grandstand maybe aren't, because they're not the ones in their feet. And it was Jensen Button, I think, when he retired, who admitted, yeah, basically people were wrong to listen to us as drivers, because what we want isn't necessarily what's better for the sport. Some aspects are, don't get me wrong, but others not so much. So we're kind of in this window where getting the balance right is key. But realistically, you're gonna have to upset some people. You're gonna have to say right to the team, yeah, we're gonna be really prescriptive, but deal with it. If you're the best racing team, you're gonna win, or you'll do well. And it's no surprise to see people like McLaren going to race an IndyCar, because they feel that that's an opportunity to showcase their racing skill on a more level playing field. But the way you can then look at that is, okay, if you want to be an IndyCar, be an IndyCar. You want to be an F1, be an F1. If you want to do both, do both. You kind of give the two options. So it's a really fine line that we're working with right now. But I think we're never going to get everyone on the same page and everyone happy. Formula One itself needs to look at what do we think is going to work best for the sport. It's going to make it profitable. It's going to make it exciting. It's going to make fans watch it. And if you get those core things right, then all the other dissent, that will fade away when you got some great